Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and you need to watch this. We've been talking about it for a while. The AI is about to cause mass layoffs, and it looks like it's already happening.
The AI job losses are here. How bad will it get? And where will the new jobs come from? Last week, Salesforce.com disclosed that AI is now doing between a third and half of its internal work. They've already reassigned 500 workers to other roles and laid off 1,000. Microsoft plans 15,000 layoffs, including 6,000 software developers, also citing AI, Clippy's revenge, and so much for Learn to Code.
Look, folks, there's opportunity in these hills. I've learned in life, anything bad that happens to you, you can parlay into a good, and it usually does parlay into a good as long as you don't give up and as long as you stay at it. Well, one opportunity that being laid off presents itself right now is rolling. If you have a 401k, you can roll them over in part or in full over to iTrustCapital if you contact iTrustCapital. But you can start just by clicking on this, and I think you can go start the process now. They are one of my sponsors. They do have a promo code, by the way. If you click on see promo code when you go to my link, it's down here, XRP6, and that'll get you $100 funding on a new account. Go to iTrustCapital.com/XRP Army, and it'll take you right to this link, and you can open your account up. But if you don't have an IRA, if you don't want an IRA or don't have a 401k to roll over, you can also open a premium custody account. In both, you get their free institutional custody, and that's huge, folks. I don't ever have a rough night's sleep worrying about my crypto now that I've got my account there. I've had my IRAs there for a long time. Just did the premium custody account recently. We've got an XRP that's down to 301 right now. The market has 3.78. Now, anytime we see the market pull back in crypto, I always look at the overall market cap. The overall market cap was approaching 4 trillion, and that's when the crashing started a little bit. Well, when I see that, I just stay focused on. I know how much money's coming. It's not, and you don't have to hear it from me. The White House themselves, Bo Han, said stablecoin legislation alone will bring into the $15+ trillion into this industry. It's not going to happen instantly, but it's going to happen, in my opinion, over the next 6 months to probably 2 to 5 years. I think we're going to have a major boom. And so I'm either holding or buying is what I'm doing in these situations. Right now, I'm just holding. Now, Zach Rector put this out. Just FYI, XRP Las Vegas 26 is going to be massive. Just spoke with Digital Perspectives Brad Combs yesterday. Please lock in. I've spoken to Brad Combs too, and I agree with Zach Rector. Lock in, folks. This one's going to be the biggest ever. Surprises in store. Tether just minted 2 billion. These are the kind of things you need to be looking at when we have these pullbacks. Tether just minted 2 billion USDT. They printed 2 billion more in the past hour, bringing the total to 7 billion minted since July 1st. Is something big coming? I believe so. The other big thing that might be coming is interest rates being lowered. Right here it says the Fed will decide whether or not to cut, hike, or keep rates unchanged. What's your prediction? Yesterday Trump was over there humiliating the Fed chairman. But then here it says Jerome Powell tells his allies that he won't resign despite Trump's pressure to slash interest rates. And then here is Mohammed Al-Arian, I'm sure I butchered his name, and he's talking about, he's bashing the Federal Reserve Chairman too.
President Trump has given him the nickname Too Late Powell. Do you agree that he's too late?
So he's been too late, Powell. He was too late in recognizing we had an inflation problem in 2021. He was too late in increasing interest rates in 2023. So he has been too late. I think here he needs to be timely. He needs to lead his committee to cut interest rates by 25 basis points next week.
I mean, Mohammed, based on everything you just said, it sounds like you're not just calling on him to step down to preserve the independence of the Fed. You actually think he's gotten the policy wrong.
Oh, I've said that if he were CEO, he would have been fired by now for all the mistakes he's made.
That's pretty strong. And then here's Trump talking about what he thinks the Fed chairman will do.
I think that Jerome Powell, I think we had a very good meeting. Forgetting about the building, that's out of control and all that. But I think we had a very good meeting on interest rates. And he said to me, now I don't know if he's going to say this on Thursday or whenever he speaks, but he said to me very strongly, the country is doing well. He said, congratulations, the country is doing really well. And I got that to mean that I think he's going to start recommending lower rates.
Because of that conversation?
How do you think that the Supreme
Court... The country really is doing well.
Mr. President, how do you think that...
Let's hope he's right. If he is right, you're going to see a crypto boom. This is an interesting death of IPOs.
Long term, if this private market develops in this way that people are describing, where more people have access to the private market, that the public and private markets converge, or do you think that they diverge and that there's sort of two very different worlds?
My personal view is that it's more likely to converge. So for instance, we have Tape D, which is the Nasdaq private market, does facilitate private company transactions, give investors better disclosures and transparency.
So that's directly competing with all of these new companies that are talking about the tokenization and...
We do it in connection with the companies. So that is a kind of a different way to approach the problem. And those are for accredited investors.
And it's interesting because this is a good statement right here. If we're totally cool with people trading equity in private companies, remember, you're probably a private company holder. If you're watching this, you're trying to research, do I take, something I'm doing on chain? If all of this starts to happen where private and public start to converge, like what the CEO of NASDAQ is alluding to, this could be the death of IPOs.
The death of IPOs. Now look at this. This is also Paul Barron. He's talking to one of the founders of Chainlink, Sergey Nazarov.
If all the tokenized assets after stablecoins, if all the tokenized funds, if all the tokenized real estate, if all the tokenized commodities, if all the tokenized equities, if all the tokenized non-currency, non-crypto things, which is, by the way, the majority of everything, if all of that gets tokenized predominantly outside the US, then people forcing others to buy and settle and purchase those assets in non-US dollar denominated payment methods on a blockchain, the likelihood of that rises. If all the assets, the best tokenized funds, the best tokenized equities, best tokenized commodities, best tokenized versions of every asset is issued from the US financial system, then the likelihood that the US dollar gets used to buy them goes up very high, and much higher than otherwise. And really, even the US financial system could gain market share in that scenario.
Yeah.
And so this is the scenario that we've painted to people in Washington and explained to them. This is also the scenario we've explained to people in other parts of the world. As more and more global trade, as more and more assets go on chain, and more transaction volume is done on chain, governments will compete with each other for the use of their currency as the method of settlement on a blockchain. And that will be a new arena in which they need to win.
All right, we're all going to win. Now, here's another clip from Matt Hogan talking. This is a pretty good clip about what's going on.
Matt, on this list here, Bitwise is only 1, 2, 3, and then the basket, right? So, but you guys just chose 3 out of all of these to actually file for. Have you gone into any more since then? And also, why just these 3 and not the rest of them?
Yeah, we're thinking about a few more, but our view is to be selective rather than to cover everything. We're looking for assets that have sort of a reason for existing in the world and potential use cases, and then also a strong community behind them. Importantly, not everyone has to love the asset. We've certainly filed for ETFs on assets that many people hate. That you actually don't care about that as an ETF provider. What you care about is whether the asset itself is sound, it does what it says it does, and whether there's a passionate community that's interested, engaged, and excited to buy it. And if those two things are true, I think you have a great prospect. So if you look at something that we filed for, whether it's Solana or XRP or Dogecoin, they fit all of those characteristics. I'm not sure Litecoin fits those characteristics. Maybe other people disagree. That's why we've seen 3 people file for that. But you haven't seen us file for Litecoin for those sorts of reasons. So we're going to be selective. You're going to see us file for more single asset ETPs, but we're not going to do everything because we're not sure everything will be successful or needs an ETF attached to it.
You said that you look for use cases, community, things like that, which is something that us in the crypto community also kind of put in our due diligence checkbox. How tuned in to crypto Twitter and like the cryptoverse is Wall Street and the clients that you speak with? Like, do they know that, crypto Twitter absolutely loves Solana and that XRP is super polarizing, or are they kind of getting a fresh look at these assets, making their own assumptions about the risk, the appetite? Because, obviously there's a huge appetite for Solana in our crypto Twitter community, but from outside looking in on Wall Street, like Ethereum already seems pretty high up the risk curve. So how's that connection or disconnection from the world I live in versus your guys' world?
Yeah,
and I know you guys bounce back and forth between both, but that's the two worlds.
For sure. The level of understanding really falls off after Bitcoin and ETH, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, we've seen that part. The XRP community on crypto Twitter is 10 times bigger than Solana. It's all a PR machine. I keep saying this. Look at this. Aave expanding to the XRP ledger.
What is the likelihood of having XRP and Solana within the Aave ecosystem?
Wrapping these assets in and having them on EVM, that's the kind of like a short-term, I would say, path. But I would like to see, as part of my kind of idea of having Aave everywhere, seeing Aave also down the line on Solana and in the Ripple ecosystem. And Aave already has the biggest pool for RL USD. So that has been a really significant accomplishment.
That is alone would probably supercharge what you guys are doing in terms of just exposure.
Yes, sir. Then we got this from Paul Barron. Paul Barron's on fire today. XRP breaks six-year triangle pattern. Is this pullback a new trend or a DCA opportunity for XRP? $7 prediction. Token surged 25.8% this week, hitting new highs. 361. Its highest level in over 6 years. Key levels to watch: support $3. Next target $4. Long term $7. I would say mid-term $7. And then we've got this. Wall Street giant Citi forecasts Bitcoin to hit 135K by year-end. Base case, bull case, 199,000. I hope Bitcoin does do that, because you know what that means for XRP and the alts. Good things. We're going to go in DAIXRP.com, the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click the join button below any of my YouTube videos, or you can hit subscribe on X to join. Today we're going to talk about some things that I don't like to talk about out here. Usually don't. You'll find them interesting. I'm a digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.